I haven't been a manager or director of security. I've certainly known a number of different technology platforms out there doing pre-sales engineering for firewalls, for endpoint, and before that, not working for a manufacturer, but working for a channel partner, a reseller. I've seen a lot of different technologies out there. So I often wonder if I was going into a new environment where I'm going to own the environment again, which is kind of attractive to me because I haven't owned an environment in a long time. It's nice putting your stamp on something and saying, I built that. Where would I start? And so I guess I'm going to start off with the first question being, where would you start? And I know technology isn't a be all end all. I'm not trying to make it out to be that, but I do know from starting a security program, which you've educated me on, one of the very first things you do is a risk assessment, which is part of a gap assessment, right? So what's a good way to get some of that visibility into your environment?
So great question. So there are multiple approaches or kind of like methods you can follow to do that. One being discovery tools or tools that will help you to have the visibility across the network or across the environment.
So I gotta ask, what is a discovery tool? Are we talking about technologies, certain types of technology, or is there a specific type of discovery tool? Because I'm not familiar.
So there are two approaches. You can either use a tool in terms of like technology. That could be a firewall sitting in the middle between like your environment segments, or it could be an active discovery tool like scanning the environment to know what type of assets you have in the environment.
Like a Qualys scanner where you're looking for open ports. Well, I guess you're hitting the environment,
Qualys,
you're mapping it, then you're looking for the port.
Yeah. Or it could be a process, which is interviews, could be questionnaire, could be forms that you let the stakeholders fill in to tell you what they are using. That's especially important or necessary when it comes to the type of organizations that they don't have a head office or like a data center or something like that. They are cloud-based because you don't have a firewall. You don't have a tool that you're going to run. So in that case, you really rely on your stakeholders to understand the business processes they run every day and how you can basically run your gap analysis based on those tools or applications.
I think it's so interesting is that understanding with a gap analysis is really providing visibility and understanding where you're at and where you're trying to get. And if I look at my background of working in the firewall space and the endpoint space, I would say that if I was trying to protect an environment, to me, I would look at the endpoint space right away because that's what's under attack, is the endpoint. And the endpoints, depending on tools that you leverage, that's where you're going to get telemetry. That's where you can get so much telemetry from the endpoints. You take one endpoint and then you times it by every endpoint. You get to see a lot of telemetry. But if I was coming into an environment new and I was trying to get not trying to protect it per se, but trying to get visibility into what's happening right at the very beginning, I would probably still lean to, and I'd call it a shield. I would still look at the firewall from that protection perspective. So I guess I'm curious your take on where you would start, because I definitely know where, like I said, if I wanted to protect, I would probably look at that endpoint. If I want to get ultimate visibility, and I do know that sounds contradictory because I did say that endpoint gives you the most telemetry, but networking and seeing how things flow is a different type of telemetry.
Oh yeah, like you need both, to be honest. Like you need the full picture, like to see the full picture. You need to know what's happening on the endpoints, which is basically the mean that the end users or the stakeholders use to access your data, to process your data, for example, or even do their daily tasks. And you need also to understand what's happening overall, which is the firewall or the shield around the enterprise. Especially if your enterprise is mainly like have head offices or branch offices or have on-prem data center or like infrastructure. That will be like very important. You need to understand how your assets, how your users are like talking to each other, and do like they call
traffic
it like transaction, transaction flow or data flow. That's
I think that's why I like the firewall when I'm saying at the beginning, if I and I'm just talking about beginning coming into an organization, that I'd want that flow of the whole network to start with.
Yeah.
I'm like you. I do agree that I want that endpoint protection, that visibility for endpoint. After all, it's what's under attack is the endpoints. Nobody's typically trying to attack your firewall. They're trying to get by it.
No. Eventually, they want to go to the data,
That would
like
be
your
nice.
data, which is either hosted on your endpoints or it's hosted on like some like applications or services that the endpoint will be used to access them. So like they are not trying to hack your printer. They are trying to come through your printer to your environment, as an example.
Right.
And I think endpoint protection is a key. Educating the users also is another
education
component.
plays a pretty big component to any network security.
You can have all the tools in the world, but at the end, if someone click on a link, or basically a threat actor is using a unique or like a new mechanism to trick the users or lure them, then it's a done deal. On top of that, you need the backup.
Yeah.
If you don't have a backup, and especially offline or secure or isolated backup, you can't really restore.
It's your ultimate insurance policy is having your data somewhere else. If all else is lost, that you want to be able to get back your data back up running.
That's why many people now talk about really not about incidents or how to stop an incident. Incident's going to happen. It's really about how soon, how fast you can recover your operation. And
I love that you're bringing this up and not me, because I'm focused on it every day. But I love that you know this. You're talking about this. This is top of mind for you. I love it. So I'll finish off with just one question. So if you come into a new network, new environment, new organization, what's your first technology that you would purchase from a security perspective? I know I've hit you on the spot.
I know, right? Like I want to say like 3 or 4 of them.
Okay, give me the 3 or 4.
Yeah, so endpoint protection for sure.
Yep.
A platform for security awareness for sure.
Awareness being education for
the users.
Good. That's one I would
third
not
party. They connect to your environment, and your backup environment. That's another important thing. And on top of that, a tool that can give you a visibility on how everything is connected, your data flow, which could be a firewall, it could be like a software-defined network that's you implement in the middle to understand everything in the environment. So really, those are the top things.
I love how I tried to pigeonhole you down to one, and you just burst out to give me 4. And I love the education platform. I don't know too much about that one, so that's a great one.